All right, let's dive in. This time, we're looking at building your own home server.
With a Raspberry Pi 5.
Exactly, a Raspberry Pi 5. Now, you know those monthly fees for streaming and cloud storage?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people are tired of them. And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
This deep dive, it might just have a solution. Building a home server.
Oh, interesting.
You know, so you can take back control.
Right.
And we'll break it all down for you, how to actually create this thing. And we'll be talking about some pretty cool tools along the way.
Like what?
CasaOS, Jellyfin,
Oh.
Nextcloud, Cloudflare tunnels. We'll make it all clear.
Yeah.
Even if you've never built a computer before.
That's great. A lot of people are concerned about data privacy.
Absolutely.
And they want more control. And this is a great way to address that. Building your own server means your data stays yours. Nobody else can touch it.
Yeah. And of course, you know, say goodbye to those monthly fees. It's always a good thing.
Right.
So let's talk about why this DIY server is worth your time. The article really emphasizes cost savings compared to buying a pre-built system. And with prices going up everywhere, well, that definitely catches my eye.
It's about more than just saving money, though. It's about having control of your digital life. You decide what goes on your server, what apps you run. You're not depending on a big tech company.
You're not renting. You own it. You make the rules.
Yeah.
So what do you need for this server dream? Well, the article lists some hardware. Raspberry Pi 5.
Of course, a Raspberry Pi 5.
A micro SD card, power supply, Ethernet cable, an external hard drive.
Don't worry if that sounds like a lot. You probably have some of this stuff already, and the rest is easy to find, online or at any electronics store. And for software, we've got Raspberry Pi Imager, Ubuntu Server 24.04 LTS, that's to get the server running. And then for the fun stuff, CasaOS, Jellyfin, or maybe Plex.
I've heard of Plex.
Yeah. Nextcloud for your own cloud storage, and Cloudflare, so you can access it anywhere.
So many options. We'll take you through it all, step by step. Don't worry, you don't have to memorize everything right now.
Right.
Now, the first stage, according to the article, is installing Ubuntu Server. They use this interesting term. They say flashing the OS onto the micro SD card.
Yeah. It sounds more complicated than it is. It's pretty straightforward. The article explains it all. You can use this program called VNC to control the Pi from your computer. Or, if you prefer, you can just hook up a monitor.
That makes sense. So why Ubuntu Server 24.04 LTS? What makes this one special?
Well, you can think of Ubuntu as like the foundation of your server. It handles all the background stuff. And LTS, that means long-term support. 5 years of updates, that's a really stable system. Secure, too. You don't have to constantly fiddle with it.
So we have the foundation. What's next? I see the article mentions CasaOS. Now, this sounds interesting.
CasaOS, yeah. It's like the dashboard of your car. It gives you a simple way to control everything on your server. It even helps you with complex stuff, like Docker containers.
Docker containers. That sounds a bit intimidating.
They're not that bad. Imagine them as like little boxes for each app on your server. They keep things organized, running smoothly. But CasaOS, it makes managing them easy, so you don't need to be a computer whiz.
Okay, CasaOS is our control center. So what kind of apps can we add? The article mentions Jellyfin. I like the sound of this one already. A way to watch movies and shows without another streaming service.
Yeah, exactly. With Jellyfin, you create your own personal streaming platform on your Raspberry Pi, all your movies, shows, music from your own collection. No more subscriptions. You don't have to worry about which service has what.
That sounds pretty amazing. But wait, wouldn't you need tons of storage for all that?
That's where that external hard drive comes in. The article explains how to connect it and set up Jellyfin to use it as your media library. It's all about organizing your digital stuff. But don't worry, they have links to instructions on the Jellyfin website.
That's good. So we've got our own streaming service. What else can this Raspberry Pi do? The article also mentions Nextcloud. Now this one's interesting.
Nextcloud is all about control and privacy. You create your own cloud storage, like Google Drive or Dropbox. But you own the data.
Big plus these days, right? With all the data privacy issues and security breaches. So if I had Nextcloud, could I ditch Dropbox?
You could. Your files are stored on your server, not some company's data center. You decide who has access, how it's managed. You're taking back control.
Okay. I'm starting to see how powerful this little Raspberry Pi server can be. But what if I want to access my stuff when I'm away from home? Is that possible?
It is. With Cloudflare Tunnels, it's like a secure connection from anywhere in the world to your home server. So you can get your files, stream media, even manage your server remotely.
Now, hold on. That sounds really complicated. How could I, someone who's not a networking expert, set that up?
The article makes it pretty easy. If you need a domain name, you can get one from GoDaddy or Namecheap, and then you just follow their steps to set up the tunnel. It's not as hard as it sounds.
All right, it's starting to come together. But building a server, it can't always be easy, right? What are some of the challenges someone might run into?
The article does mention a few, but let's focus on one that might be a bit tricky. Setting up SSH for remote access.
SSH, what's that? And why is it important?
SSH is a secure way to control your server remotely from another device. You can send commands, transfer files, make changes, all from a different location. It's a powerful tool, but setting it up correctly can be a challenge.
So if someone gets stuck with SSH, what can they do?
No worries, the author gives some solutions and troubleshooting tips for common SSH issues. It's like having a guide right there with you.
Good to know. We've covered a lot.
We have.
A lot of ground.
Maybe we should pause here.
Good idea.
And when we come back, we'll delve into some of the more advanced things you can do once you have this awesome server up and running.
Sounds good.
Welcome back. Before the break, we talked about setting up your server with Ubuntu and Caso, and we even touched on some apps like Jellyfin, for personal streaming, and Nextcloud for your own private cloud.
And right before the pause, we were talking about SSH, that secure way to control your server from anywhere.
Right, like a secret backdoor.
So let's talk about taking things a step further.
Yeah.
What other possibilities are there? Once you have your server running, the article mentions some.
It does. Well, if you're looking at remote access, there are some alternatives to Cloudflare tunnels.
Okay.
The article talks about Tailscale and Twingate.
I like having options. How do those compare to Cloudflare?
Well, you could say Tailscale is the easy option, and Twingate, that one has more security features, so it depends on your needs, really, and how comfortable you are with network stuff.
So simple setup, Tailscale, more security, Twingate. Got it. What else can we explore with this server? I remember the article mentioned R apps, something about managing media. What are those all about?
Oh, those are great. For automating your media server, imagine new episodes of your favorite shows just automatically downloaded, ready to watch.
Right.
Or your movie library, perfectly organized. Even adding subtitles automatically. That's what art apps can do.
Wow. It's like a personal assistant for my entertainment.
Exactly. They do all the work behind the scenes. You just relax and enjoy.
This is starting to sound less like a server and more like, an entertainment hub.
Right.
But we should probably talk about security, too. The article mentioned SSL certificates.
Security is important, especially with all your personal data on there. SSL certificates, they're like a shield of protection for your server. They encrypt the connection between your devices and the server.
Like those padlock icons we see in web browsers.
Exactly. Those padlocks mean SSL is being used. And setting up your own SSL certificate, that's a great way to add more security and privacy.
All right, so we've got the server set up. We've looked at remote access options, and we've even talked about automation and security. It's incredible what this Raspberry Pi can do.
It really is. But this is just the beginning. The article, it's a great starting point. But there's so much more you can do once you understand the basics.
So we've got the knowledge, we've got the tools. But building a server from scratch, it can still feel a bit daunting,
Yeah.
What advice would you give someone who's ready to try this?
The best advice. Don't be afraid to experiment. The article is a good guide. But the best part of building your own server, the freedom to customize. Try different apps, change settings, see what works best for you. You might discover something new along the way.
It's like we've given you the keys to a whole new world. And who knows, maybe you'll even discover some new passions or skills that you didn't know you had. But speaking of new discoveries, maybe it's time to wrap up this deep dive and leave our listeners with some final thoughts as they embark on their own server adventures.
Yeah, let's move on to our closing thoughts.
Well, we've covered a lot in this deep dive, all about building your own home server with the Raspberry Pi 5. It might have seemed like a big task at the beginning, but hopefully you're feeling a little more confident now, ready to take control.
That's what we want, to show you that building a server, it's not just for, the tech experts. Anyone can do it. With the right information, a little patience, you can build a system that's perfect for you. Save some money on subscriptions, too.
Exactly. And remember, the article we've been talking about, it's a great starting point, but there's so much more you could do with a home server.
It's when you start experimenting that the real fun begins. Try different apps, play around with the settings. You'll learn so much just by doing it. And you might even surprise yourself what you can create, I mean.
It's like, we've given you the tools and a map,
Mm-hmm.
but you get to choose the adventure.
Right.
And you don't have to do it alone. There's a whole community out there. People who love home servers. They're ready to help.
Yeah, there are forums online, communities, tons of resources. If you run into a problem, you can find help, and you can connect with other people who are just as passionate about tech as you are.
So what's the one piece of advice we can leave our listeners with as they start their home server journey?
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn, right? Tinker, experiment, try things out, and have fun. Building a home server shouldn't feel like a chore.
I agree. So if you're feeling inspired to build your own Raspberry Pi server, go for it. It's rewarding. You get to build something with your own hands, and you get more freedom and control over your digital life.
This deep dive has given you the basics. Now it's time to use that knowledge, be creative, and build a server that's all yours.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of home servers. We hope you enjoyed it, and that you feel ready to start your own server building adventure. Until next time, happy hacking.